in a central location and just let them play. Where? Is that the jumper? Let's do it.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Want to come to Holiday Home with us?
Hate to break it. Good conversations, old friends, seeing each other for the first time in a while, but it's nice to see a lot of new faces. Nice to see some familiar faces. Welcome. I'm Scott Smith. I'm the Vice President of Advancement for Lake Superior State University. And welcome to the 2022 Great Lakes State Weekend Alumni Awards. Can you hear me in the back? Gotta crank it up. I have that. Now, my name is Scott Smith, and that kind gentleman is also named Scott Smith. And only one of us appears to be useful when it comes to turning up the volume. So, how about, oh jeez, yeah, that's a hot mic. Anyway, welcome everybody. 2022 Great Lakes State Weekend Alumni Awards. It's an honor to be a part of the Alumni Awards. It's both gratifying and inspiring to learn about these interesting, successful people receiving awards today. Today we'll hear from them and we'll hear more about each of them. But before we do, I'd just like to take a moment, share a thought with all of you, maybe draw you into the moment, into the room, into the place we are, and let's have one shared thought, and that is, did I turn off the ringer on my cell phone? So you might want to check that. You don't want to be that guy. So we'd like to start our ceremony by first recognizing any previous honorees who are with us today. I'd like to ask any past award recipients of the Paul Ripley Award for Young Alumni, the Kenneth J. Schuldeis Alumni Achievement Award, the Dr. Donald and Catherine Finlayson Distinguished Citizen Award, the Outstanding Alumnus Alumna Award, as well as any Hall of Fame inductees. Would you please stand as a group and be recognized? Now I would like to recognize members of the Alumni Association Board of Directors. These key volunteers give their time and talents to help organize LSSU events like Great Lakes State Weekend. Alumni board members, please stand and be recognized. Last, we'd like to recognize any LSSU faculty, staff, or retirees. Would you please stand and be recognized? Again, thank you all for being here, and it's my privilege now to introduce Lake Superior State University President, Dr. Rodney Hamlin.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate that, and welcome everyone to the Lake Superior State University alumni and friends to our 26th annual Great Lakes State Weekend. This is one of the big events that we have on campus, and along with commencement, it's right there, and we're really pleased that you're with us tonight. We hope you enjoy your time on campus. If you haven't been here in a while, then soak it in. Get a chance to go into buildings and perhaps rooms that you haven't been in years or even decades. We're also grateful and pleased that you're here this afternoon to honor a wonderful group of alumni awardees. Now, all homecoming weekends are special. This one is uniquely so, as we're also celebrating not one, but 4 anniversaries. The first of which is the 75th anniversary of the chemistry department here. The second is the 50th anniversary of the Lukenda School of Business's Marketing and Management program. The next is the 50th anniversary of the 1972 National Championship LSSU hockey team. And finally, we're celebrating the 30th anniversary of the 1992 National Championship LSSU hockey team. Now, I don't have this in my notes, so I'm just going to ad-lib this. When Michigan comes to town, I really want to beat those guys. I don't like them. So, I just don't like them at all. So, whoever clapping in the back, I think that's Mark. Put yourself in for a pay raise, Mark. We have so much to be proud of since the campus started in 1946. From Fort Brady to a branch campus of Michigan Tech University to today, Lake Superior State University. We've been home to Soldiers, Hornets, and now Lakers. Much has happened in the 76-year history, and I'd like just to take a moment to share just a few of our current highlights. First of all, some of us in the room track this stuff, it's college ranking season. As many of you know, that when publications like U.S. News and World Report or the Washington Monthly, they all put out their rankings of universities, and families look at this as a way to help guide them to, making a college selection. And generally, you only hear about the rankings when they're really, really good. Well, as you imagine, I brought it up. So the rankings are really, really good for U.S. News, or for us. This year, U.S. News and World Report ranked LSSU the number one in the top public colleges in the Midwest. We were number one. Think about that for a second. The criteria used in this ranking include graduation and retention rates, academic reputation, peer assessment, the average federal loan debt of graduates, something called social mobility, faculty resources, class size, financial resources per student, among many other variables. And U.S. News isn't the only national publication that ranked Lake Superior State University number one. Washington Monthly magazine ranked LSSU the number one school in the state of Michigan for best bang for your buck. So if you're looking for a high quality education at an affordable price in the state of Michigan, we're number one. And I'm really proud of that. The best, like I said, the best bang for your buck means that LSSU is number one at providing both a marketable and affordable degrees while we drive this thing we call social mobility. When you consider that over 60% of our students are first-generation college students. I'm a first-generation college student. My dad was a factory worker. Over 60% of our students come from families just like that. And a majority of these students, about 55%, qualify for financial assistance, meaning they come from a financially disadvantaged background. So it's important to us that our graduates leave here with degrees that lead to good jobs, and that's just what we do. Almost every one of our majors has a 100% employment rate, and most of the graduates that come out of different degrees have multiple job offers upon graduation. In late August, we cut the ribbon on the U.S. Coast Guard Great Lakes Center of Expertise at the university's Barch Center for Research and Education. Here at the university, we call it CFRE. It's the newest building. It's right on the St. Mary's River, right next to the power plant. The Great Lakes Center of Expertise will examine the impacts of oil spills in freshwater environments and help develop effective responses to them. Now, this will be critical to protecting the Great Lakes, as current oil spill technologies and research primarily are designed for saltwater environments, not freshwater environments. This center will be only the sixth National Center of Expertise operated by the Coast Guard in the nation. Now, when Lake State was awarded this center, we beat out a lot of other significant competition. And when I give speeches like this, I like to mention the competition that we beat out. So we beat out, just indulge me, we beat out the University of Minnesota Duluth, the University of Chicago, University of Notre Dame, Loyola University, the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, Michigan Tech University, Central Michigan University, the University of Michigan, University of Toledo, numerous universities in the SUNY system in New York State, and then Cornell University. We beat them all. to be awarded this National Center of Expertise. And I'm really proud that, in this regard, LSSU is just simply getting it done. Earlier this summer, the university released 27,000 Atlantic salmon into the St. Mary's River. And this continues our long tradition of replenishment and sustainability of Atlantics into the St. Mary's River. This year, our release honored a donor, Marty Vanderplow, who is CEO and co-founder of Workiva Incorporated, who gave $1 million to CFRE to create the university's first endowed professorship, the very first. Both the 2022 class of Atlantics and the endowed professorship were named in honor of Marty's late father. Over the past year, LSSU has also strengthened our relationship with our local Native American tribal partners. In October, we recognized the legacy of Indigenous peoples' residential school experience by having a campus-wide Orange Shirt Day, followed by a presentation by Dr. Veronica Passfield, who is a member of the Bay Mills Indian community. The university also honored Indigenous Peoples Day on October 11th with the very first reading of the Lake Superior State University's land acknowledgement, followed by a featured speaker, Whitney Gravel, who is the president of the Executive Council at Bay Mills Indian Community. Now, in case you don't know, land acknowledgements recognize Indigenous peoples who were the original stewards of the land that we all sort of live and work in today. And these land acknowledgements collectively remind ourselves that our community, that we seek to build relationships through academic scholarship, collaborative partnerships, and community service by acknowledging our past, our present, and our future with Indigenous peoples everywhere. Those are just a few things that are happening now at Lake Superior State University. I could go on, but I just want to hit a couple of those. Perhaps one or more of those efforts will have an impact on future alumni award recipient, which is why we're here today. Now, I have the honor of presenting the first award in tonight's ceremony, and that is the Bud and Mary Mansfield Parents of the Year Award. This award recognizes the importance of family support to our students' success. In fact, it was probably a caring parent who turned to you, or you turned to, when you got an especially good grade in a tough class, or maybe you got a tough grade on an important exam and you were feeling kind of down. Parents are the cornerstone of student development and student success. We created this award to honor the Mansfields, who had 8 children and several grandchildren all graduate from Lake Superior State University. You'll see in the program the description of the award. This annual contest is announced among current students, and we ask them to tell us why their parents deserve to be Parents of the Year. Now, the winning essay this year was chosen by a selection committee, and it was written by Colleen Burton. Colleen nominated her mother, Colleen Burton. Colleen is a sophomore majoring in biology with a pre-med concentration. Now, I'm not going to read Colleen's entire essay, even though it was very, very well done. But I am going to read a quote from it. Colleen said, quote, "Like most children, as I get older, I appreciate my parents more and more, realizing how much they've done for me. My mom has been so helpful this year as I started my first year of college. My mom is a superhero. She always knows what my siblings and I need even before we ask. To me, my mom is more than the mother of the year. She's the mother of a lifetime." At this time, I'd like to ask Colleen and Colleen to come forward to receive the Mansfield Parent of the Year Award. Let's all give them a round of applause.
That guy can get you fired up, can't he? Does a good job, President Hanley. Congratulations. congratulations to Kaylin and Colleen. Kaylin, your mom is very deserving, and we're very proud to have you here as a student. Each year, the LSSU Alumni Association is proud to honor a select few alumni. When you consider there are more than 34,000 graduates of the Sioux Branch of Michigan Tech, Lake Superior State College, and now Lake Superior State University, you realize these three people are special indeed. Our first award of the evening is the Paul Ripley Award for Young Alumni. Paul Ripley served as the university's first alumni director and was a member of the first class in 1946. An associate professor of journalism, Ripley established the Laker Log alumni newspaper and published it for more than 20 years. The Laker Log remains a vital link between LSSU and alumni today, long after Paul's retirement in 1987. The award honors graduates who have enjoyed exceptional personal and professional success early in their careers. Those honored must have graduated within the past 15 years and/or be no more than 40 years of age. Receiving the Paul Ripley Award for Young Alumni is 04 graduate Jamie Momber. Introducing her is Mark Terwilliger, an 88 grad who taught at LSSU from 1990 to 2016 in the mathematics department. Professor Terwilliger joins us by video.
Hi, my name is Mark Terwilliger. I'm a computer science professor at the University of North Alabama. But before I started here, I was a computer science and mathematics professor at LSSU for 26 years. During that time, I had the pleasure of having Jamie Gross as one of my students and got to observe her making the most of her time at LSSU. I've known Jamie since she came for an on-campus visit to Lake State as a high school senior. As a student in our computer networking program, she quickly stood out to the departmental faculty as she excelled in all her courses. It was evident early on that she was grad school material. Jamie added computer science as a second major, and in 5 years she completed both degrees. Playing on the LSSU volleyball team at the same time, she still managed a 3.945 GPA while earning a grade of A+ in 20 different courses. In my expert systems class, students learn to use artificial intelligence techniques to develop programs that mimic the behaviors of human experts. As a final project, Jamie developed a system that would help visitors to Mackinac Island plan their itineraries. Based on a number of factors such as the days in the trip, the family size, hobbies, interests, and basic health data she obtained from user input, Jamie's program would make a suggested schedule in order to help visitors make good use of their time while vacationing on the island. In her final semester at LSSU, Jamie needed another course to keep her enrolled full-time. Instead of just taking a blow-off class, she registered for my computer science projects class so she could continue pushing herself and get more real-world experience. In this class, students work independently with real-world clients developing customized applications. Jamie developed a computer program for the English teachers at the Sioux Area Middle School. The teachers had contacted me looking for software that would automatically generate multiple choice spelling tests. Based on a list of words, the program needed to generate similar words that were misspelled. To our knowledge, there were no programs available in the market that performed that function. Jamie had to research and then apply different rules that people commonly make when misspelling a word. Once potential misspelled words were generated using these rules, those words then had to be checked to make sure that they weren't actually other words. The algorithms that Jamie developed were not trivial. When Jamie finished, the middle school's teachers were simply amazed at the software she created in such a short time. The teachers are actually still using this program today. Now, originally from Escanaba, she earned the LSSU Franklin Otis Scholarship in 2005 and was named LSSU's Outstanding Computer Science Graduate in 2008. She was named 3 times to the GLIAC All-Academic Team and also earned a GLIAC Postgraduate Scholarship in 2008. When Jamie asked me my thoughts about the Computer Science Graduate Program at Western Michigan, I, of course, gave her the full blessing since I had just completed my doctorate at Western 2 years earlier. Jamie earned a teaching assistantship in 2008 while pursuing her master's at Western. In her second year at Western, she earned a research assistantship working on an IntelliDrive system sponsored by the Michigan Department of Transportation. In 2009, she earned a Teaching Effectiveness Award for her work as a teaching assistant. She was also named the Computer Science Department's Most Outstanding Teacher. She earned the Jim Sleep Memorial Award for Outstanding Computer Science Project in 2010. She later told me her most difficult course at Western was actually taught by my former advisor. Perhaps I forgot to warn her this might happen. After graduating from Western in 2010, Jamie was offered a job with Steelcase in Grand Rapids, where she has worked in software development on numerous production applications. In 2014, Jamie was promoted to Senior Applications Engineer. As a computer science professor, I've heard stories from many female students of gender bias. Teachers and counselors that have told them growing up that computer science is not for girls. Why not try something like nursing or teaching? I've also heard from female computer science graduates in the workforce that have encountered obstacles and often not given similar projects to work on or opportunities as their male counterparts. As you'll find out, Jamie is extremely humble. But in a male-dominated industry, she truly serves as an inspiration and role model for young women pursuing careers in computing. It is my great honor to introduce Jamie Momber, this year's recipient of the Paul Ripley Award for Young Alumni.
So my first thank you is going to be to Mark, even though he can't hear me. That probably would have been kind of weird in 2019, but since COVID, nothing seems weird anymore. I've never actually received an award that was anything more than a piece of paper and a photo or a handshake. And typically when I speak to large groups of people, it's at tech conferences with like 40, 50 people, so this is altogether different. So coming up with a way to say thank you and express my appreciation took some thinking, and I came up with this. I didn't do this myself. None of us really do. We're all a product of the people we've met, people that have helped us, challenged us, and changed our direction in life. I have a lot of those people, and although my most natural response to receiving this award would be to say I don't deserve this, that wouldn't be fair to them, the people that got me here. In order not to miss anyone, I thought I'd go FIFO, first in, first out, because that's how my IT brain thinks. First up would be my parents. Although I only have one Earth side, both of them have and continue to help shape me. I loved being my dad's helper. I was driving a dump truck at 16 because he trusted me to do it, and I got my need to fix things and solve problems from him. My mom is the glue of our family. Anytime I take a personality test, I get tagged as the harmony person. I got that from her. And my sister, this is more of an apology than a thank you. I'm sorry you had to be dragged to all things Jamie for so many years. You did so very gracefully and with great endurance. So thank you, Mom, Dad, and Kara. Moving on to school years, I had great elementary teachers and coaches that both fostered my love for athletics and academics. High school was more the same. I had countless teammates and classmates that taught me how to work with different personalities and toward common goals, and to work hard. And I still had many great family and friends that taught and encouraged me and stood with my family and I during good times and bad. Thank you to them. Up next in the timeline would be Mark Engel. I don't think he's here today, but he was the Lake State volleyball coach. He took a huge chance on a small UP town volleyball player. I had by far the lowest skill set on the team. I was essentially a walk-on, but I knew how to work hard and I improved. I also had amazingly talented teammates who who probably overlooked my shortcomings because my mom would bring her famous chocolate chip cookies to every home match. Thank you to my volleyball family. During my time at Lake State, I interacted with so many great people. Mark Engel, Jody and Joe Susie, the entire mathematics and computer science department, Dr. Twilliger, Dr. Shem, Professor Boger, and they all called me Ms. Jamie because I'm pretty sure they didn't really know how to say my last name. It was gross, and no one wanted to say that wrong. Food service, I worked at the Cappuccino Corner that I'm not sure if that's here anymore. The athletic training department for all the sprained ankles. The network team, I pulled cable through the ceiling of the SAC after the squirrels decided that Cat 5 was a good snack. Chris Dunbar, Deb McPherson, the sports information department, Linda Beauvais, my volleyball teammates and friends, or still friends to this day. All these great people at Lake State prepared me to continue my education, to enter the IT workforce, and be an altogether better person. But I was still nervous going to Western to start my master's because didn't all master's students all come from big schools? The answer is no, and I shouldn't have been nervous. Lake State prepared me well. And I met my husband Ben at Lake State too. He's actually a great transition. He got me my job at Steelcase. While I was at Western working on my master's, he came to a job fair and talked to the Steelcase recruiter about me. At that time, we were just dating, so I had to start my first official correspondence to my current employer with, "You spoke to my boyfriend at the job fair." He'll never let me live that one down. And he's been my biggest encourager and constant supporter since. Thank you, Ben. I've been at Steelcase for 12 years and have two amazing people leaders, Kathy Cummins and Kim Cook. They've trusted me to not do anything stupid like terminating a database process that had been running for 14 hours on an upgrade weekend because Control-C on a Linux terminal actually kills the process. It's not a copy. I only did that once. At Steelcase, I've had the opportunity to speak at conferences, volunteer in the community, and work with teammates worldwide to become great friends and mentors. Thank you to my Steelcase family. And I think that brings us to today. I'd like to thank the Alumni Association, Ryan Sigmund, who helped with all the logistics, all the people behind the scenes who prepared the food, set up the room, got my virtual introduction to play, my in-laws for loving on my two little guys today, or medium, as the smallest one would say, and to all of you, the attendees, the family members, the friends, your presence here is an honor to me and the other recipients. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I'm truly honored. Thank you.
Jamie, that was terrific. Congratulations. Jamie, I took notes. FIFO, first in, first out. Chocolate chip cookies, squirrels eat cables. That's terrific. Congratulations. And whatever luck you brought to the volleyball team that they swept today, you'll bring to the ice rink tonight. Okay, good. So our next award is the Kenneth J. Scholdice Alumni Achievement Award. Dr. Scholdice served as Lake State's first chancellor and president from 1966 until his retirement in 1983. During his tenure, Lake State grew from a 2-year extension of Michigan Tech to an autonomous 4-year college. During his tenure, we saw significant growth in student enrollment, and he led over capital projects like the North Center, Sisler Center, and the library, which now bears his name. This award recognizes personal and professional success that serve as outstanding examples to LSSU graduates. The award highlights significant achievements of alumni who serve as leaders in our region, state, and nations. This year's recipient is Sophie Chandauka MBE, a 2000 grad. Please welcome her presenter, former LSSU professor and longtime friend and mentor, Dr. Gary Johnson, who taught at LSSU from 78 to 2015 and is Professor Emeritus in Political Science at Lake Superior State University. Professor Johnson.
Before I say anything, I'd like to congratulate Jamie, and I have a message from Mark Twilliger when you talk to him next. Tell him I'm going to give him a golf lesson whenever he's ready. I met with many prospective students in my 37 years of teaching at LSSU, and I always enjoyed those meetings. because the students were often enthusiastic, they were interesting. 26 years ago in August, I met with a particularly interesting prospective student. Her name was Sophie Chandauka. She had been born and raised in Zimbabwe, but she had come to Sioux, Ontario as a Rotary exchange student. She decided when she was done that she wanted to continue her education in North America. LSSU was a good choice because she needed a place to live, and her Rotary host family was willing to put her up, continue putting her up. Her meeting with me was primarily about deciding which major she was going to choose. I was delighted that she chose political science. In our meeting, she had been eager, enthusiastic, articulate. It seemed like she would be an excellent student, and that she would contribute to the education of her classmates just by being here. And she did not disappoint at all. She was an outstanding student from the beginning, earning a 4.0 in her freshman year. She was also conscientious, she was amiable, she was outgoing. I was so impressed with her that I hired her to be a student assistant in the editorial offices of the journal I edited. And admissions was also impressed. They hired her to be a tour guide, and this was when she was early in her freshman year. Her peers were equally impressed with her. Less than a month after she arrived on campus from Zimbabwe as a freshman, she had so impressed the other students in political science that they elected her as just a freshman to be secretary of the club. And that was one of the most active clubs on campus at the time. She also participated that year in several activities of student government, and also wrote for the student newspaper and served as a leader of a new student-sponsored theater group. All this as a student who had just arrived here from Zimbabwe. That summer, Sophie was one of just 2 LSSU students selected to participate in the Governor's College Leadership Forum. It was unusual for a student who had just completed her freshman year to be honored in this way, but this was only the beginning. Sophie not only attended this program, she won an award and trophy for outstanding leadership within this group of student leaders from all over Michigan, most of whom were juniors and seniors. And she had just finished her freshman year. She also received news that summer. She was one of just 2 students from Michigan selected to receive a Rotary International Ambassadorial Scholarship to study in England during her junior year. She would study in England and then transfer her credit back to LSSU. Before that, however, she needed to complete her sophomore year. She continued her many activities in the fall, but she also decided that she wanted to study in Washington, D.C. in the spring. She thought an experience in D.C. would be a good idea. But she made this decision a little bit late, and she didn't have any money to go do this. I and some others tried very hard to help her over the course of several weeks, but we failed. Sophie simply did not have enough funds to go to DC. I remember having a meeting in my office with her, and I knew she would be disappointed after I told her that the various efforts that several of us had made had not come to fruition. She was disappointed, but she never let anything stop her. She was determined she was going to go to Washington, D.C., and she wasn't going to let anything stop her. So she kept working on her own, and she eventually figured out a way to get a paid internship with the International Association of Flight Attendants. She worked for them in their efforts to lobby for the organization on Capitol Hill. And she gained valuable experience. And one day when her boss, who had been invited for a reception at the White House, couldn't go, Sophie was asked to go in her place. So she went up to the White House, where she stood in a receiving line for Tony Blair, the British Prime Minister. It's not surprising that when he came to Sophie, he stopped and chatted with her for a time. I don't know how long the receiving line was, but I imagine that he probably gave her more time than most of the people got. Sophie then spent her junior year at the University of Birmingham in England under the Rotary Scholarship. She wanted to stay in England that summer, lacking funds. She was determined to do that, and she managed to, through diligent efforts, get a position working over the summer with a London law firm. she returned to us for her senior year. In addition to excelling in the classroom, and again working in the editorial offices of my journal, and writing an excellent senior thesis, which she presented to the public just across the hall over here, she served as president of the Political Science Club. She was also active in a wide variety of other campus activities. She also, at this point, continued giving speeches to various groups that had heard that she was an outstanding speaker. During her high school year in Sioux, Ontario, and her 4 years at college, she gave roughly 60 speeches to various groups. If you can imagine that as a college student. Some of these were small local groups, local Rotary clubs, for example. Others, however, were speeches to very large groups indeed. For example, she gave plenary addresses to the Rotary International Conference of Britain and Northern Ireland, the District Rotary Conference of Britain, and the 1998 Worldwide Rotary International Conference, which was held in Indianapolis. Given her many activities, her status as a summa cum laude graduate, and her outstanding speaking ability, Sophie was selected to give her graduating classes response at commencement. Her rousing talk prompted a spontaneous standing ovation, the only time I can recall that happening in the 37 years that I attended commencement exercises. Now, there were a few hiccups along the way, some occasional tears when there was a disappointment or two. In November of 1999, for example, there was a little problem created when she, shall we say, underappreciated the need to have a valid driver's license when her friend was trying to teach her to drive. And there was a problem that same month when she lost her passport and visas. Those, however, were all minor wrinkles on her road. Through all of that, she remained calm, cheerful, unflappable, despite what would be for most of us an absolutely dizzying round of activities. She was sincere, she was genuine, she was direct, she was unassuming, and at the same time, she was self-assured. She maintained that kind of positive outlook that inspired optimism and enthusiasm with everyone around her. After leaving LSSU, Sophie went to England, and she studied law at both the College of Law of England and Wales and at Oxford University. She then went to work for Baker & McKenzie, one of the world's largest law firms. They have offices in 46 countries around the world. She did exceptionally well with Baker & McKenzie, eventually becoming a senior associate. And she also developed a national reputation while she was doing this. And she was nominated for 2 national awards for young attorneys. She also appeared on the cover of the British magazine Management Today as part of a feature story about 35 women under 35 in Great Britain who were obviously oppressing the country. It was at that point that we honored her with the Young Alumnus Award in 2008. This reputation for excellence brought Sophie to the attention of the British royal family. Members of the royal family have charities that they are all associated with in various places around the world. Many of those have been kind of handed down over the generations, but Prince Harry wanted to establish his own, striking out on his own. So he established a new one called Sentabale in Lesotho, the small enclave country within South Africa. Sentabale's goal is to help disadvantaged children, especially those suffering with HIV/AIDS. Since Sophie was originally from Southern Africa and she had developed a stellar reputation in Britain, she was appointed by the royal family to be one of the trustees of Sentabale. In fact, I was shocked. This was 2008. I was in my office one day and a letter arrived addressed from the royal family. They wanted a letter of recommendation, which of course I was happy to provide. Through her work with Sentabale, Sophie grew to know both Prince Harry and the other trustees. One of those trustees worked for Virgin Money, Richard Branson's financial services firm. As a result of that connection, Sophie was hired by Virgin Money and served Virgin Money as head of the legal arm of their group treasury department. Following her success with Virgin Money, Sophie was hired by Morgan Stanley. That's the American multinational firm that is an investment and financial services company. Morgan Stanley has offices in more than 41 countries and was recently ranked number 61 on the Fortune 500 list of the largest companies in the United States. Sophie served Morgan Stanley as global COO of shared services and banking operations. But she now works for Meta, one of the world's largest tech companies. It is the parent company for Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, and Oculus. Sophie serves Meta as head of America's risk management and intelligence. Throughout her career, Sophie has been interested in promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion. She's played a leading role in a number of organizations in Britain and elsewhere that are devoted to those goals, including the Black British Business Awards. Her efforts in this field, in fact, she's the executive officer, the chair and executive founder of that organization. Her efforts in this field brought her to the attention once more of the British royal family. In 2021, to honor her for her efforts in promoting diversity in business, Queen Elizabeth appointed Sophie a member of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire. It surprises no one here who knew Sophie, and there's still a number of us around who did when she was a student, that she's gone on to a great success in her still young career. She demonstrated while she was here that she is an extraordinary woman. During her last year here, Sophie nominated her mother to be Parent of the Year. In her moving essay, she said that her mother had given her wings with which to fly. Indeed, she did. And she has flown very far with those wings. We're very proud of you, Sophie. It's a great pleasure for us to present you with this award. Congratulations. We know that you will continue to make us proud.
Congratulations, Sophie. It's inspiring. Our final award is the Outstanding Alumnus Award. This award honors personal and professional accomplishments and involvement with LSSU. This is the highest honor the association presents. The award highlights significant achievement of alumni who serve as leaders in our region, state, and nations. This year's recipient is Chris Conklin, a 74 graduate. Here to introduce Chris is his friend and IAB, that's Industrial Advisory Board colleague, LSSU Robotics Professor Jim Deva-Prasad. Jim.
Congratulations, Sophie and Jamie. Remarkable how much you've accomplished in your career already. Small university, big impact through our alumni. It's just awesome. It was exactly about 50 years ago when a young, talented man was working at Consumers Energy in Essexville, Michigan. And he got a call from somebody at the main gate of the facility. This was from the registrar of Lake Superior State University. At that time, it was Lake Superior State College, asking if he would meet with him for dinner. And this young man said, yeah, sure, why not? And so they met for dinner. And basically, I'll keep it really short. This young man was offered a full-ride scholarship to attend university here because of his outstanding credentials and the recommendations he got from Delta College, where he had finished his 2-year associate's degree. There was a catch, though. he had to accept or pass up by the end of the week. And he had to talk to his fiancée about this offer. And now I'll fast forward. He proposed, she said yes, they got married in 2 weeks. They showed up at Lake Forest State University. 2 years later, in 1974, he got his bachelor's degree in electrical engineering technology. And importantly, Chris and Carol are married for 50 years now. Chris has had a stellar career, and I'm only going to focus mostly on his tenure of 30 years at Dow Corning Corporation. And Dow Corning, I'm sure everybody has heard about it and knows about this place, and I actually did a little bit of checking. So I know about Dow Corning, what is this place, what is it? They marketed over 7,000 products and market cap of $32 billion and various things, sealants and adhesives, gels, solvents. And I started looking at literally every day we touch or look at items that Dow has played a role. So Chris, for most part, was a senior measurement and controls engineer. Mostly worked in Midland, Michigan, but also in Wales, in Japan, and Germany. Always thinking about Michigan, thinking about automotive, but gosh, in Midland, Michigan, we have one heck of a company there. It's really cool that Dow is in our state. But I've known Chris for 20 years, and there's so many accomplishments that I got to find out about. And Chris, you take humility to an extreme, please. Yeah, it's just amazing. I was talking to Ryan Sigmund, who's the coordinator, data coordinator, and alumni coordinator at Lake State, and he said when he called Chris, and Chris was like so surprised, and he said, "Really, me? Why? Why not somebody else?" And he wouldn't even literally accept it that he was chosen to be the outstanding alumnus this year. Many things, but let me just name 2 or 3. For example, Chris developed the Coriolis flow meter technology, which is considered the gold standard for flow measurements and is used by several manufacturers in the world. He led a team that developed the batch processing standard for the chemical industry, not just Dow, but worldwide. Made multiple presentations at the World Batch Forums, and was sought after, especially him and his team, and considered a global leader in that expertise. Likewise, he developed the International Society of Automation's S95 standards using SAP, which is an ERP, which is an enterprise resource planning software, and was working in Germany at that time, working with SAP and developing that. Chris also, this is kind of really interesting about, when I read about this, that he led a team that did something that was groundbreaking, and that is the supervisor or responsible for the construction of a whole new big chemical processing plant, start to finish, with complete operations in place, in just 18 months. And I was just thinking my little home took about that same time to be built, and I don't know how you guys pulled it off, and that again was recognized in several international forums. Anyway, to shift gears, talking about, his accomplishment was significant, obviously, in the professional world, but good fortune fell upon us at Lake State when Chris was talking to admissions at Lake State in those years, the 1990s, and I think he was still connected, and we know he was still very connected. His daughter, Christine, went to Lake State University also as an alum, and thank you for being here today. In that relationship, our then department head, Ray Adams, ran to Chris and checking out his enthusiasm and interest in LSSU, he asked if Chris would serve in our industrial advisory board for the School of Engineering and Technology. So for about 20 years, Chris has been a pillar of guidance and support in our industrial advisory board, where we take valuable input from them for our curriculum, and also provide other kinds of help through projects and funding and replacement and so forth. And Chris had this knack of focusing on, what is it that he can do? What are some challenges that the School of Engineering is facing? And one of the big ones was that we wanted to recruit top-notch students from around the state, and how could the faculty and the Industrial Advisory Board, how could they help? So he took the initiative. He formed a subcommittee of Industrial Advisory Board members and proactively coordinated with the LSSU admissions office. He attended several what are called macro events, which are events across the state where they have these college fairs. He just showed up over there and planted himself and gave advice to students who are potentially looking at engineering. He trained our admissions recruiters about how to talk about this small university up in the EUP. And often I understand from, at least what I was told, that he was a one-man pop-up stand in some of these events. Basically showed up when nobody else was there. He said, sure, I'll be there for Lake State. I don't know if I've told you this, Chris, but I've had prospective students and their families visit the campus, and often one of the questions I ask is like, why did you choose to come here? What is the motivation to visit and tour Lake State University? And several times I've heard, we were really impressed by that some Conklin person who works for your admissions. It's like, okay, no, he doesn't work for admissions. He's a professional working for Dow Corning. So, I bet there are a lot. I mean, Chris's emphasis was on students who he knew would be a good fit at Lake State and will shine upon graduation and go on and do great things. And Fred Burke, who was the chairman of our Industrial Advisory Board, mentioned to me when I talked to him, because he's worked with Chris several years, and he said that Chris always had this one motto. He kept telling us all the time. He said that you only ever get out of your education what you put into it. And he was passionate about it, about giving back. And it's just amazing. Chris now is enjoying a lot of time with his family, especially with his grandkids, and I understand he had one heck of a great time with his slick sports car and doing some. You got a robot streaker. Who let the bots out? Well, Chris, this robot represents several robots and other engineering equipment in our labs for which you have played a great role in guiding us and so forth. And this is from it's a card from the School of, all the faculty and staff from the School of Engineering and Technology. And robots included as faculty and staff, thank you for many years of generous giving of your talents, your time, your gifts, and above all, based on what I know, you're a very kind man with a generous heart, and we are so fortunate that you graduated from Lake State and continue to give back so much for us. Chris Conklin.
I would like to thank the LSSU and the Alumni Association Board for recognizing their contributions over the years. It is humbling to receive the 2022 Outstanding Alumnus Award. It was caught me totally by surprise. I would also like to thank Tom Lindbergh from Delta College, who kind of guided me in this direction, and David Quimby, who's the guy that showed up at the main gate at Consumers Power that day. Those two people, if they hadn't been there, I wouldn't be here. And I want to thank them for having faith in my ability to successfully complete my education at LSSC. I was awarded a full-ride scholarship to continue my education at LSSC in the Engineering Technology program and successfully achieved my Bachelor of Science in spring of 1974. Later in my career, I considered how I might repay LSSU for my education. Two opportunities arose, one with admissions initially, and eventually with the Engineering IDB, where I could work and share my life and work experiences with potential students and eventually actual students in the engineering program. Again, thank you for this award. It means a lot.
Congratulations, Chris. Well, I hope you feel inspired. I hope you feel excited about this event and the people that we're recognizing, the truly special people, parents and students and family. It's just a wonderful opportunity to be here with all of you, and it's great to see everybody. We're nearing the end of our program, and we have a few things we'd like to share. To ensure you don't miss anything, you'll find copies of the Great Lakes State Weekend calendar of events on your table. Of great importance, and we need your help here. We welcome your nominations for these prestigious LSSU Alumni Awards. If there is somebody you'd like to nominate, simply reach out to the Alumni office with your nomination or any questions. Award recipients, please stick around. We need you for more pictures. Is the robot available for a photo op as well? How does that work? Good to know. Congratulations to all of our very deserving award recipients. You represent our university well, and you make us proud. And President Hanley mentioned earlier his passion about the Wolverines, and that's who we face this weekend. So we hope everybody's going over to the game tonight to help root the the Lakers on.
We need to talk.
Somebody got a raise for clapping. I think I just got a cut for that slip. But to get us in the proper mindset to root the Lakers on against U of M tonight, I'd like to share a quote from Marion Mason, wife of the late legendary hockey coach Ron Mason. I had the privilege earlier this week of joining Coach Damon Witten on a phone call with Marion because Ron coached our 72 national championship team, and we're celebrating 50 years since they accomplished that. And it was the first of the 5 national championships that we have here at Lake State. As you can imagine, there were many fond memories and more than a few funny stories that Marion shared about their time at LSSU. But then her tone changed when Coach Witten told Marion who our opponent was this weekend, and without hesitation, and in a much more serious tone, Marion said, and I quote, "You beat the pants off Michigan." So enjoy your Great Lakes State weekend, and let's go beat the pants off the Wolverines, and thank you all again for being here.